So today we're going to talk about more reflexive verbs. All week long we've been working on reflexive verbs. So today I'm going to give you some notes that's going to give you a little bit different point of view for it. So we're talking about daily routines, la rutina diaria. So when we talk about a daily routine, we have to talk about what's happening to ourselves. So look at this definition. Reflexive verbs are verbs that do it to themselves. The person doing the action and it's also receiving the action. Okay? So I have a mirror here, and it's because they reflect what's being done and happening to the person doing it. So if I'm brushing my teeth, I'm the one with clean teeth. If I'm the one brushing my hair, I'm the one with pretty hair. So whatever happens, it bounces off the mirror and it happens to the person that just said that they were doing it. So how do you know when a verb is reflexive? Well, it's pretty simple. When the letters se are attached to the end of the verb, it means that it's reflexive. So you've actually already used a reflexive verb, even in Spanish 1. When you say, ¿Cómo te llamas? You respond with, Me llamo, señora Purefoy. That's actually using the reflexive verb llamarse. So what's so special about reflexive verbs? Well, in Spanish, these verbs need extra parts that come before the conjugated verb, so they're a little different. We've seen that. And these are called reflexive pronouns, what comes in front of them. In other words, in Spanish, when you talk about an action being performed to yourself or oneself or someone else, you use the pronoun and the reflexive verb. So the reflexive pronoun comes in front of that reflexive verb when it's conjugated. So if you're still confused, think about this. When you say in English, I wake up, or I get out of bed and I go to the bathroom, and in the bathroom I wash my face, and so you're listing things that are happening that you're doing. So you didn't really say who's doing the action and who's receiving the action, but it's implied. Because you could say, instead of I just wake up, I wake myself up. Instead of I get out of bed, we say I get myself out of bed. So these things are implied. When I say I wash my face, well, I'm obviously doing it to myself. That's what's implied. Not really obvious. It's just what's implied. But in Spanish, we actually need to specify who we're doing the action to. So look at the following sentences, okay? What do you notice that comes before the conjugated verb? Yo me ducho. Tú te relajas. Él se acuesta, or ella se acuesta. Nosotros nos levantamos. And las chicas se maquillan. So if I just say yo ducho, that's I shower. But if I say yo me ducho, I shower myself. Tú te relajas, you relax. But if I say tú te relajas, you relax yourself. That means that you're doing it for yourself. So all of these are saying that whoever's doing the verb is also receiving the action. So based on the sentences that were above, we're going to fill this little chart out. Now we actually have squares right there in our notes, but I'm asking you to write in the squares and in the margin next to it, just like I have it set up here on my paper. So what subject pronoun do I use for I? Well, that would be yo. And what I do for myself, that would be me. So it would be tú en te, él en ella en se, nosotros en nos, and ellos en se. So those are the those are the subject pronouns, and next to them are the reflexive pronouns. Let's go ahead and write those in. On the subject pronouns, make sure you write out nosotros, not just nos. The subject pronouns are telling me who is actually doing the verb, and the reflexive pronoun is telling me who is receiving the action of the verb. Yo me peino, I comb myself. Tú te cepillas los dientes. You brush your own teeth. Ella se ducha. She showers herself. Nosotros nos acostamos. We put ourselves to bed. Ellos se despiertan. They wake themselves up. So it's who is doing it and who's receiving the action of the verb. So we've been using these reflexive pronouns all week. So here we go. Yo matches with me, and tú matches with te. And él, ella, usted matches with se. Nosotros or nosotras matches with nos. And ellos, ellas, ustedes matches with se. So these are the pronouns we've been writing. The reflexive pronouns indicate to whom the action is happening. So let's practice with a couple of these conjugated verbs. Oops, sorry, I forgot these. These are the steps for conjugating reflexive verbs. We have these 3 rules written on the front board. So number 1, and I'm going to ask you to combine number 1 and 2, step 1 and step 2 on your notes there, because I'm going to add a number 2 on the margin. So step 1, remove the reflexive pronoun, which is the se ending, and we're going to change that pronoun to match the subject pronoun and place it before. So that's when I say circle the se and move it to the front, okay? So we're going to move that se to the front and replace it with me, te, se, no se. Step 2, I want you to find the root of the verb, okay? Write this step in the margin. Number 2, find the root. And step 3, you conjugate the verb normally. You remove the AR, ER, and IR, and you add the new verb ending. You need to notice that AR, ER, and IR are just normal conjugation patterns, except if they are boot verbs, which we're going to discuss boot verbs at the end of this video. And we'll recognize a boot verb because it'll have parentheses telling us what it changes to. So these are the 3 steps. Circle the se, move it to the front, find the root of the verb, and then place the verb ending at the end of the verb. Okay, so here we go. If you notice at the top, I circled the se, I moved it to the front, and now we're going to put yo, me, tú, te, él, se, nosotros, nos, and ellos, se. And now we're going to find the root. So if I drop the AR, I'm left with levant, and it's an AR verb, so we're going to plug in those AR endings. So yo me levanto, tú te levantas, él se levanta, nosotros nos levantamos, and ellos se levantan. So I get myself out of bed, you get yourselves out of bed, we get ourselves out of bed. Okay, you get the idea. Ducharse. So again, I circle the se, I move it to the front, I replace it, yo me, tú te, él se, nosotros nos, and ellos son. Se. So now we drop the AR of the verb, we're left with duch, and we got to plug in the endings. O, asa, amosan. So yo me ducho, tú te duchas, él se ducha, nosotros nos duchamos, ellos se duchan. So I shower myself, you shower yourself, he showers himself. You get the idea. All right, so now we're going to break into the world of boot verbs. So this is a boot verb, and it's an O to UE boot verb. So that O that's at the only O that's in that word is going to change to UE inside that boot. So first thing we got to do, though, is circle the se, move it to the front. Yo me, tú te, él se, nosotros nos, and ellos son. Se. Now we have to find the root. Drop the AR, change that O to E, and it'd be acuest. So AR verb endings. Yo me acuesto. Tú te acuestas. Él se acuesta. Nosotros nos acostamos. See, we didn't change it there. It's outside the boot. Ellos se acuestan. So I put myself to bed, you go to bed, you put yourself to bed, he puts himself to bed. Again, you get the picture there. Let's do one more. Despertarse. So we circle the se, we move it to the front, Yo me. Oh, sorry. It's an E to IE boot verb. E to IE boot verb. So the second E is what we're going to change. The second one, not the first one, the second one. So yo me, tú te, él se, nosotros nos, ellos se. Okay, so now we find the root. So drop the AR, we're left with despert, but it tells us to change that E to an IE. So despierto, tú te despiertas, él se despierta, nosotros nos despertamos. Look, it didn't change. It's outside the boot. Ellos se despiertan. All right. Well, we're going to get another chance to practice these. So I know you're on the edge of your seat, but enjoy some reflexive verbs.